Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked where I climb the online series 8 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. Today we're trying out a really interesting team featuring Calyrex Shadow-Rider. I have not used this Pokemon yet, despite it being one of the more common restricted Pokemon, so I wanted to try it out. And this team has a lot of interesting components featuring Weezing and Regigigas. You all know that was one of my favorite duos back in Series 7, so I'm excited to play with it in this brand new team. And then a really interesting Mienshao as well, with Fake Out, Close Combat, Wide Guard, and Ally Switch, and that safety goggles. This team was built by 2017 World Champion Ryota Otsubo. We featured a lot of Ryota's teams throughout the last couple of months, and he is really one of my favorite team builders, especially from this last year. So please give him a follow on Twitter down in the description below. He's always creating really innovative teams, and they're a lot of fun to play with as well. So huge thank you to Ryota for the team. And so, yeah, I think that there are a lot of interesting components to this team. First of all, you'll notice that the Calyrex has the Spell Tag. That's because, typically you'll want to run Focus Sash or Life Orb, but the Life Orb and Focus Sash are consumed on the Regigigas and Weezing. Now, this Weezing is really interesting. It actually is the Galarian Weezing, and rather than, something like a Shucca Berry or a Babiri Berry, it actually has the Focus Sash. You'll notice that it also has Substitute and Strange Steam over something like Sludge Bomb and Will-O-Wisp, so definitely a little bit different from Weezings that people typically expect. I really like this because I think that Focus Sash just allows you to guarantee Weezing to stick on the field for at least a turn often. Very few people will expect that Focus Sash, and I love the Substitute idea as well. The whole idea of Weezing is to basically be on the field and enable Regigigas, right? And often players will expect Weezing to protect on turn 1, doubling up onto Regigigas, and so if you're able to predict that and actually get a Substitute off, it can shut your opponent down completely. To round out the team, a lot of interesting components, right? There's double Wide Guard, both on the Regigigas and Mienshao. That's obviously very helpful against some of the spread attacks that are common in this format, whether it be Kyogre's Water Spouts, Groudon's Precipice Blades, or Astral Barrage from Calyrex, for example. The Calyrex here also a Substitute. Substitute's definitely a move that saw a little bit of usage in Series 7, especially on Now Ego, but I think now more and more people are using, especially on some of the faster restricted Pokemon like Calyrex, like the Zacian, for example. And then so Regigigas running that Wide Guard is really interesting because it allows you to actually, use it as a supportive Pokemon. For example, if you want to max Calyrex, you totally could go Regigigas plus Calyrex, and then and then depending on how the lead plays out, for example, you could switch Calyrex into Weezing, or you could actually use Regigigas just to protect the Calyrex, which is interesting. Draining Kiss is also interesting because, it gives you, a fairy type attack, and has pretty good coverage against the majority of the format. And then finally, you've got Magnet, Regieleki, pretty standard stuff there. Air Balloon Incineroar, which is really interesting because, as you see, this team doesn't really have great ground switch-ins, and so that can be really valuable in switching in against, say, Landorus-T, especially if it's like Dynamax. And then finally, the Mienshao, as I mentioned, with Safety Goggles, Fake Out, Close Combat, Wide Guard, and Ally Switch. Definitely a funky moveset here. Very hard to read into. Yeah, I would say, actually, most of these moves are pretty standard on Mienshao, but I think Safety Goggles is interesting because it gives you a nice switch-in against things like Among Us or Venusaur, for example. So, a lot of interesting components here. You all know I love Weezing Regigigas. Calyrex is also a really cool Pokemon. I'm eager to play with that. So, thank you to Ryota for the team. Thank you to you all, as always, for watching. If you enjoyed, please share your support by leaving a like. Question of the day, I want to know what your favorite non-fully evolved Pokemon, either competitively or non-competitively, is down in the comment section below. My answer would have to be Piplup. So, let's get started today. As I mentioned with Road to Ranked, I'm really doing my best to cycle through as many restricted Pokemon early on as possible. So fortunately, there are a lot of great teams with a lot of cool restricted Pokemon out there right now. And yeah, I think that obviously you have, 9 or 10 that are maybe a little bit more standard in the format right now. And so I'm at least trying to feature all of those to start off, just because I think it's good to get acclimated with the metagame. But that being said, I'd love to feature some of the more obscure restricted Pokemon later down in the road as well. So yeah. But my goal with Road to Ranked, as always, is to feature teams that are obviously competitive, can net you wins on the ladder, but also try to, show off stuff that can be really fun as well. For example, I think that Dragonite team was a really good example of something that is, not exactly super standard, and it's really cool to see a lot of these teams, utilize unique Pokemon that aren't very, very meta standard. So this team is interesting. I think Mienshao is one that I wouldn't be surprised if Mienshao picks up a little bit in usage because it's just a fast Fake Out user with access to Wide Guard. Close Combat is also just a pretty strong attack in general. So, yeah. We're actually up against Calyrex for the first game today. Okay, interesting. How do I want to play this? Because I do have Fake Out, but I don't have Focus Sash on this thing. Their Landorus scares me. Weezing plus Regigigas is kind of interesting. Let's see. If I go Weezing Regigigas right away, they don't really have great switch-ins, but what am I nervous about? Probably their Calyrex, right? Are we max speed on ours? That would be kind of important. Yeah, we are. So, maybe the goal should be to deny a Tailwind from my opponent. If I wanted to do that, how would I lead? Mienshao plus Calyrex is pretty interesting here. But it just, like, their Calyrex is so scary here, in my opinion. Okay, maybe it's Incineroar then. It just makes me a little bit nervous because of the Milotic, but it's okay. So, Incineroar, Calyrex. I don't know, Regigigas could actually be a really good late game monster against my opponent's team, but I don't feel super comfortable leading it. So I'm thinking we actually use regular Calyrex here and then Weezing Regigigas to close things out. But it's very dependent on how my opponent plays. Like, I'm trying to play this as flexible as possible. I think even regular Regigigas can be pretty good as long as I have that Weezing support. And I think few people actually expect Weezing Regi in the back. I think most of the times people prepare for it super hard as a lead. But what I'm nervous about here is the Tailwind from my opponent's end, because if they Tailwind, their Calyrex obviously would just definitely outspeed everything, whereas here, with my Calyrex being max speed, at least we force a speed tie. And I'm going to always protect Calyrex and, you know, go for a way to decrease the opposing Calyrex's special attack. It's going to be Whimsicott Landorus, okay? So this is where having Air Bloom is actually really interesting. Because turn 1, in this position, you know, I get an Intimidate off into their Landorus. I don't think I Dynamax, to be honest, though. I mean, I lean towards just going for Fake Out and Astral Barrage, turn 1. Yeah, because if I Dynamax here, and then they Dynamax Landorus, max Airstream, and then you just bring out Calyrex, and then you give that a speed boost, you're just going to wreck me, I think. And that's not good. The only thing here is that Fake Out is kind of obvious on a Whimsicott, so I'm nervous about it having Protect. You could also switch Landorus out into Indeedee, I suppose, but then you've switched Landorus out into Indeedee, yeah, which isn't very good here. So, yeah. I'm happy with this lead, though. I'm happy that we get the Intimidate off immediately onto Landorus, and I mean, Weezing Regigigas wouldn't have been too bad here, but it would have been a max Quake potentially onto Weezing turn 1. I suppose, though, because we have the Focus Sash, it actually wouldn't have been awful. But I'm content with this lead. I think it's okay. Because, like, seeing Milotic would have definitely scared me a little bit, but the main thing I really wanted to do was at least deny a Tailwind on turn 1. I wouldn't be surprised if they... Well, I was going to say they could switch Whimsicott, but they don't really have a switch-in. And they are going to Dynamax Landorus. I'm okay with that because you just committed your Dynamax to a Pokemon that's intimidated, right? So, while it's still going to hurt, it is not going to get a one-hit KO onto either Pokemon here, I think. And if I can deny a Tailwind, like, that's huge for Calyrex, right? And the end game is Weezing Regigigas in this match, I think. They do have Protect, though. Okay, it's a little unfortunate. So they will get a Tailwind up. Yeah, Fake Out's negated here. We'll get an Astral Barrage, but Landorus is probably going to go for a... You could go for Airstream onto either of the Pokemon here, or just a Max Quake onto Calyrex. Wow, that's actually a lot of damage. Yeah, they are going to opt for the Airstream option onto Calyrex. So now you can just Tailwind if you're my opponent this next turn. Because I have the Air Balloon, I think what we can do here is Parting Shot. Yeah. Okay, I like this. I like going for Parting Shot here into the Landorus and Protect with the Calyrex here. So, I don't know. I mean, Protect is a pretty standard attack there on Whimsicott. If they didn't have Protect, like, they're in a really, really bad position. What I could have done there was actually just Parting Shot immediately into the Landorus slot. I guess I could have Max Calyrex as well in this game, but I really don't like that because we know they probably have Calyrex in the back on their end. We know that they're going to get Tailwind up, and my Dynamax Calyrex doesn't really want to go up against a regular Calyrex because Astral Barrage is still kind of going to crush us. So, didn't feel really comfortable with that option. But yeah, Weezing Regigigas could have been interesting. Definitely could have been interesting. So, I suspect they'll Tailwind now. Oh, they actually just go for Moonblast. That also makes sense, I guess. Moonblast and maybe Max Rockfall? They just Airstream again, okay. And they double up into Calyrex, okay. I'll take that. I guess the Moonblast there was to cover for a switch, plus my opponent probably doesn't feel the need to Tailwind because their Whimsicott probably has Focus Sash, so that makes a lot of sense. If you're Sash, then you never want to Tailwind there because you want to stagger your Tailwind, essentially. So, I can definitely respect that. Okay, this isn't too bad, though. Here's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to bring out the Regigigas now. Well, Slow Start does activate. I just wonder if Max Hailstorm can KO the Whimsicott even with Slow Start. Honestly, I think it might. Because what I want to do right now is withdraw my Calyrex into Incineroar, Dynamax, and go for a Max Hailstorm. Oh, but I guess once I Hailstorm, then my Focus Sash on Weezing is also at risk. Which wouldn't be ideal. How many turns of Tailwind are left? Oh wait, they didn't even Tailwind, right? Okay, I think I will go for the Hailstorm here, and I will switch out into Incineroar here. Because if they don't Tailwind and they have Calyrex in the back, like at least it's a speed tie at worst. Landorus will be at -3 attack after here, so what we do is basically attack around it because it's not really a huge threat to us. So, yeah. I wish we could have gotten a little bit more off with Calyrex this game, but I think that that's the cool thing about this team, that you actually can't bring Calyrex and Regigigas out at the same time. I think most Regigigas teams right now, the restricted Pokemon they choose is Zacian. So this is definitely a different take on Weezing Regigigas, especially because it's Galarian Weezing as well. Okay, so I don't know if Hailstorm is enough to knock out Whimsicott here because of Slow Start. The goal was to KO it so that it doesn't get Tailwind. Like, if they get greedy and don't Tailwind here, that was obviously really good for us. Even if they Tailwind, though, like, this Weezing can put in work, because what I can do is make a really cool play of Parting Shot next turn, get the Weezing out safely, and then, ooh, Fake Tears, okay. That could be a problem. That definitely could be a problem. And they Max Quake into the Air Balloon Incineroar. Okay, that's sick, at least. So we get the Max Hailstorm off against the Whimsicott. Let's see, how much do we do there? Ah, nice, it is enough for 1-hit KO. More importantly, my opponent did not set up a Tailwind here. So, this shows you how you can use Regigigas even if you don't have Weezing next to it. Ideally, you want Weezing, obviously, but in this position, we have some room to work with. So, Citrus Berry Landorus? Wow, this team is full of surprises. Citrus Landorus, non-Focus Sash Whimsicott. That's fascinating. Okay. So you can see why this team has Air Balloon on the Incineroar. I'm surprised that they didn't cover for that switching, to be honest, and just go for an Airstream instead. But we take those. I feel like you bring out Calyrex now, right? You kind of have to. But the Landorus slot on my opponent's end is completely useless. So, if I'm my opponent, what am I expecting? Maybe you just bring out Calyrex and then you switch Landorus out into Indeedee. I guess that's my only fear in this position. We have Parting Shot. They bring out Regieleki. Wow, okay. That's surprising. Okay. Regieleki. Well, they're obviously trying to just, you know, snipe down the, I mean, we can Max Strike here. Like, I can just fake out Max Strike Aleki this turn. I honestly wonder if that KOs even with Slow Start. Like, that's just how strong Regigigas can be against, like, these non-bulky Pokemon, right? Landorus definitely wants to U-turn out here, I think. I guess maybe if you have Swords Dance, this could be a good opportunity to go for it. We're also potentially setting ourselves up for a late-game Calyrex. Like, let's see if they Protect. Okay, they do Protect. So that's a good Protect, but that's okay, because I'll decrease your speed, which is important for Calyrex in this endgame. It's actually very important for Calyrex in this endgame. And they fly. Okay, I mean, I don't mind that. Like, that's not really super scary to me. This Landorus is not really an offensive threat at all at this point. So, like, Regigigas is now just enabling Calyrex, I think, for this endgame. Yeah, that Max Strike actually still would have one-shot. Sheesh. That is strong. Okay, so we get a speed drop on these, which is good. I am at -2 special defense. So, honestly, the play I lean towards here is to just Max Guard and Flare Blitz, I think. I think Calyrex has to be my opponent's last one based off how they've played this. If Calyrex is their last one, my Incineroar should just beat it pretty easily. So, I don't know. I like Max Guarding here. Well, I guess the other question is, does Regieleki even one-shot us? Can't I just pick up a double KO here? Maybe that's fine. I can just Max Strike into the Landorus and Flare Blitz. I think that's also appropriate in this position. Oh, actually, I don't know if Max Strike KOs. So let's just Hailstorm to play it safe. And Flare Blitz. I guess you could protect the... Or sorry, maybe you doubled up onto the Regigigas here. Okay, they go for Fly. Yep. Onto Incineroar. Okay. Pops the air balloon. Thunderbolt. Okay, nice. We survived with both. And they're Life Orb lucky too. Cool. Yeah, as soon as I know they're not Choice Scarfed, I figured we'd survive. So this is a double KO. And now it's a 4v1. So, I mean, late game Calyrex from my opponent's team would be scary, but I think Incineroar with Darkest Lariat can just finish things off now. Yeah. So we'll pick up a double KO. We'll have Weezing. Weezing can Strange Steam. That's about it, though. I'm just nervous, like, to play the Calyrex Mirror here if we lose the speed tie. That's pretty much it. Because we don't have Focus Sash. Darkest Lariat may have been better there to take less damage from Recoil. I don't think Astral Barrage should knock out Incineroar from this range, though, so I think we're fine. Especially because the Life Orb was already committed, and I think we bring out the Weezing first, yeah. Because it gives us a Strange Steam. Like, Strange Steam into Darkest Lariat should just win us the game. Is it Calyrex? Yes. So now, I mean, we win the game 50% of the time already, even if they're max speed, because we'll just outspeed if we win the speed tie. But yeah. Okay, let's see. Check the board state. 2 turns of Hail. I will just go for Strange Steam here and Darkest Lariat. Yeah, I mean, Darkest Lariat's just the best option against Calyrex right now, right? So they need to knock out Incineroar here. I don't think Astral Barrage KOs. My only fear is if you're Choice Specs. Of course, Calyrex does get access to, ground type attacks as well, so maybe it goes for that. But the good thing about bringing out Weezing is you don't get a boost. I'm honestly curious how much Strange Steam does in this position. Okay, they just go for Astral Barrage. I think Incineroar survives this, but let's see. Okay, nice. Yeah. So that was the main thing. Did not want to risk bringing in my Calyrex and losing to a speed tie. And yeah, I like Strange Steaming there just because we have a confusion chance. And if we get the confusion, that obviously puts things more in our favor as well. And so, yeah, this was a really interesting game. We actually just ended up using regular Regigigas into my opponent's team, and it put in a lot of work. Having Calyrex was nice on my side because even though we didn't end up fully utilizing it, it created a really good late game monster because as soon as I get that max strike speed drop onto my opponent's end, basically if they had Landorus and Regieleki and like let's say they actually knocked out the Regigigas or the Incineroar, well then I get the free switch in into Calyrex. My opponent doesn't have any switch-ins into Astral Barrage and I can just click Astral Barrage a bunch. The only thing, like I said, I was nervous about was, potentially speed time with their Calyrex in the end game because that could have made things a little bit messy. Fortunately enough, that was not the case, but yeah. So you can see what's really cool about this team is that, yeah, Regigigas is obviously a really good max option, and regular Calyrex is actually really strong. Now, I could have Dynamaxed in this game, but I wasn't super comfortable because my opponent had Tailwind. We're going up against Yveltal for the next game, and I was actually planning on featuring that team sometime soon, so that's cool. It was built by Binja Wang. We've really featured a ton of Binja and Ryota's teams throughout the season, so yeah. Regieleki is pretty compelling here, I think, just because of Magnet. It's Assault Vest Yveltal on the opposing side. We are max speed here. Although Weezing Regigigas honestly isn't terrible either. Especially because we do have Strange Steam. It's kind of interesting. Can we do anything funky with Mienshao? I don't really think so. Late game. Also, one thing I want to say that's cool about this team is that I think so many people, when they saw Calyrex Shadow-Rider, just saw it as a Pokemon to max, but I actually think it's potentially stronger as a non-max option because Astral Barrage is just such a crazy good attack, right? So here I'm thinking maybe it's just Weezing Gigas as a lead with Regieleki and the Calyrex in the back. Calyrex is insanely good into Metagross, Rillaboom, Fini, and Regieleki, right? It will one-shot a lot of those. Well, I suppose mainly just Metagross and Regieleki if you don't Dynamax Metagross. But I think Regigigas is pretty good here. They don't really have a strong fighting type Pokemon to threaten us, which is good. Yveltal's scary. You can max Darkness, but we can max Strike or max Hailstorm, and the Assault Vest obviously doesn't really protect it here. So Yveltal most of the times are going to be, I think, Assault Vest or Weakness Policy, at least currently. Wouldn't be surprised if like Berry variants pick up later on, but I don't know. With Dynamax, I feel like AV and Weakness Policy are just like the most consistent items. You could, of course, run Life Orb as well. I think that totally makes a lot of sense on a more offensive set to catch people off guard as well. So it's going to be Metagross and Regieleki. Okay. So I don't have Will-O-Wisp here. That's like the one downside. Protecting turn 1 is also somewhat obvious. I could actually lower Metagross' speed through Max Strike onto Regieleki, which is kind of cool. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of an obvious play, but I think I'm still willing to just protect and Max Strike turn 1. I don't have Will-O-Wisp, but the thing is, if I lower Metagross' speed, then I can consistently substitute in front of it, which is really cool. I really like substitute as an option on Weezing. I'm surprised actually no one really thought about it until now, because it makes so much sense, especially with these speed drops. The idea is, normally you commit Protect on turn 1, then Weezing is super vulnerable on turn 2, open up to a double up. But here, I don't know, the Weezing Protect is kind of obvious, so that's like my only fear. But I don't want to get hit by an Electro Web and a Max Steel Spike. I know Regigigas should survive this turn, and with Neutralizing Gas, we get rid of Clear Body, get that speed drop. The other cool thing is we also cancel Transistor on the Regieleki, so you're not doing as much damage with your electric type attacks. So maybe it's an Electro Web here, but the thing is that Regigigas outspeeds the Metagross naturally, which is really important. I think props to my opponent, though, because they did bring the Metagross, and I think if they led like Yveltal, they'd be in a lot trickier of a position because the Yveltal wouldn't be able to protect in front of us on turn 1, and then Regigigas kind of just crushes that. So the Metagross lead is a great decision on their end. I think this is definitely a solid lead from their end. But the thing about Weezing Regigigas is sometimes like even the best lead your opponent has still isn't that scary. So that's what I like about our position right now. Okay, so we're going to protect. They just go for Electro Web. Yep, that's fine. So the idea is to basically trade speeds here, right? Now, I suppose they will be able to bring in something to replace Aleki, which is scary. Wow. We still have speed. Okay. So I get Max Strike off. Yep, not Focus Sash. Get a speed drop there. I wanted to protect there, too, because in the off chance they doubled up onto Weezing, that's obviously really bad for us, right? So maybe it's a Steel Spike onto that slot, but I'm okay with that. Yeah, here's Steel Spike. Let's see who it's targeting. Yep, it does go into Weezing. Okay, good. So now this is interesting because, well, it depends on who you bring in. I suppose if you just bring in, like, something like in one-shot, the Weezing from this position, that could be scary. So I guess that would be Yveltal. So this is actually an interesting spot where I, like, might consider switching out Weezing. I don't think an Oblivion Wing KOs us. What is that? Okay, they bring out Tapu Fini. That's okay. Tapu Fini. We have Aleki and Spectrier in the back. Or sorry, not Spectrier. Calyrex, which is really good for us in this endgame, I would say. I mean, I think this is where Substitute's interesting. But if you just muddy water... Wait, shouldn't Max Strike actually just one-shot Fini? I would think so. So I want to sub in Max Strike. Okay, I'm down for that. Oh, Fini actually outspeed... No, it doesn't outspeed. Okay, they protect. That's also fine. This is the beauty of Substitute. Because, like, now I get Weezing out for another turn. Initially, I was going to say, oh, yeah, doesn't Fini outspeed? So even if they muddy water, I get the sub up. But, yeah, this is okay. Because basically, this is exactly what I was saying earlier, where you basically wait for Calyrex to sweep in the end game. Although I think that Yveltal might have Sucker Punch. That would actually be kind of scary. Okay. Yeah, they Steel Spike again. That's fine. Yep, into Weezing. Perfect. So that's the beauty of Substitute for us here. One more turn of Dynamax left on both ends. They're at +2 defense. I don't want to activate Weakness Policy on Metagross, so that's what I'm playing around right now. Obviously, having Regieleki in the back is going to be very good in this endgame for us as well. I don't know if another Max Strike KOs the Tapu Fini here. That's what concerns me a little bit. I think I am down to just Substitute here, though, because actually, if we don't knock out Fini, it's not the end of the world, because then you can maybe give me a free switch-in into the, You give me a free switch-in into Calyrex, potentially. I think Yveltal will be the last one here, and if I remember correctly, it does have Sucker Punch, which is actually a really big problem for Calyrex. That's where Substitute could play a huge role for us, though. So, I don't know if we get the one-hit KO here on Tapu Fini. If we do, that's obviously very good for us, because then Weezing sticks out in the field for another turn, and I can probably just protect Max Strike, or, protect Giga Impact. Actually is enough to pick up the knockout, so you can see why Substitute's so good for us here. Because if we didn't have Substitute, I would just have to sacrifice Weezing or switch out turn 2, which puts us in a kind of an awkward spot. So, yeah, it's just triple Steel Spike here, and I'm okay with that, because despite the defense boost, I'm going to use my special attackers to beat Metagross in this endgame. So now I think I just protect Weezing. They bring in Yveltal. I can just protect Giga Impact. Guess my only fear is if that doesn't one-shot, but then I think with Substitute on the Spectrier, I keep calling it Spectrier, Calyrex, it is Yveltal, yeah. With Sub in the back, we're looking pretty good right now. Because we can just, like, Sub Electro Web, for example. So Dynamax ends on both ends, but this is the power of Regigigas once again. You just one-shot so many non-Dynamax Pokemon. So I'll take this as an opportunity to protect. It should be Assault Vest Yveltal on the opposing side. Giga Impact is just stronger here, right? Because of Stab? Yeah. Okay, so we just Giga Impact Yveltal. That's fine. Oh, they're not AV. Interesting. Wow. So it's a modified version of Binjia's team. I was not expecting that. Okay. That changes things. My question still is whether or not they have Sucker Punch. Very cool. Okay. Well, I'm going to Strange Steam here and Giga Impact. Yeah, we either get Steam off. That's really fascinating. This whole time I was thinking it was Weakness Policy. Oh, sorry, Assault Vested. Is it Policy then? That'd be really interesting. Maybe that's kind of risky of Strange Steaming here. I'm just really curious if they have Sucker Punch, because if you're running Protect, you obviously have less room to work with, and you want Oblivion Wing. I actually have no idea how common Sucker Punch is on Yveltal right now. That is something I'm curious of looking into after this game. So if they don't have Sucker Punch, like I think the path is kind of set for Calyrex and Regieleki, because we can just... Okay, they go for Dark Pulse onto Reggie. Yep, that makes sense. That's fine. I don't mind that because it means I get a Strange Steam off. And you are Life Orb. Okay, okay, makes sense. So Strange Steam is able to connect, and that's one of the cool things of running Strange Steam. Does a lot of damage. They're not Weakness Policy, which is good. Iron Head goes off, so it's 4-2 now. Or sorry, 2-2. I have Regieleki plus Calyrex. Man, Protect actually changes this game so much, which is scary. I'm just really worried of them having Sucker Punch. That's my main fear right now. I think I want to substitute here with Calyrex. I'm thinking Sub and Protect. I don't know. Yveltal here could Protect as you try to knock out Regieleki, or if you have Sucker Punch, you could go for that. Sucker Punch Earthquake would be scary here. I wonder if Sucker Punch actually would just KO the Regieleki. It really depends on how you're trained, I think. I mean, I really want to sub here. I think I lean towards sub Electro Web. Okay, Yveltal does Protect. Oh, they double Protect. Let's go. And that is why Substitute can be a game-winning move on Calyrex. Beautiful. So now Calyrex wins this endgame. I thought they had to protect Yveltal there and like Earthquake. Or whatever ground type attack you have into Regieleki, because we would have lost to that, I think. I don't know if Sub Electro Web was really the play there then. I mean, I'm going to Astro Barrage here and just... Astro Barrage and just Thunderbolt here, I think. No reason to risk a miss. So now I don't know. I don't think you have Sucker Punch if you're not Assault Vested, because I think it's kind of tough to fit Sucker Punch, but I could totally see Dark Pulse, Oblivion Wing, Sucker Punch, Protect as the moveset. Sucker Punch is just really good against Calyrex, right? And so that's like one of the main reasons why Yveltal is kind of an interesting Pokemon right now. But yeah, Sub comes up huge. They do have Sucker Punch, yeah. Okay, Regieleki hangs on, duh. Nice. So they targeted Regieleki, and this should be game over. Sub won us the game here, honestly, because if we didn't sub, they could just Sucker Punch Calyrex this next turn and then Earthquake. But the sub now prevents us from getting hit by Sucker Punch. So after failing to really get any Sucker Punches off in the... the substitutes successfully off with the Zacian team, I'm glad today's episode could highlight how good of a move Substitute can be. So, yeah. The original version of my opponent's team... was built by Binjia Wei, at least those 6 Pokemon, and it had Assault Vest, which is why this whole time I thought the Assault Vest would be on the Yveltal. But it's funny because I was talking about how Assault Vest, Policy are the most common items on Yveltal, but you could use Life Orb, and it just so happens that my opponent actually did have that Life Orb in that game. So, yeah. So I'm pretty happy about how the games have gone, because I think that this episode has highlighted the strength of Substitute as an attack. It shows you how Weezing and Regigigas can still be really good in the format, and this Weezing set is a slightly different take on Weezing, right? Galarian Weezing with Sub and Strange Steam. So, yeah, this is a fascinating team. Ho-Oh, Zapdos, Dragapult, Galarian Zapdos, Rillaboom, Thundurus. Okay. Huh. I don't really know what to think from that. A lot of flying Pokemon. I mean, Zapdos is kind of scary for Regigigas, right? Could we Dynamax Calyrex in this game? It's definitely a possibility. I don't think it's a great game for Mienshao. Close combat's really not useful here. And I don't know. I don't really like Incineroar either. The cool thing about Incineroar is, like, I could bring Weezing Incineroar and then, like, turn off abilities, but then I also turn off my own Intimidate. So, I don't really know how much I like that. I think it's probably just the same 4 Pokemon. Regieleki, Spectrier, Weezing, Gigas. I just don't know how I want to lead because I don't want to get caught by, like, Zapdos. I'm actually thinking it's Regieleki, Spectrier, Weezing, Regigigas. Like, once again, I keep calling it Spectrier. Oh my goodness. Calyrex Shadow-Rider, excuse me. The cool thing about the Calyrex on this team, once again, is that Calyrex is such a big offensive threat. Your opponents often have to respect it Dynamaxing, but that you can use that to your advantage. And so I think this is just a new way of playing Weezing Regigigas because almost all Weezing Regigigas teams rely on leading it because they don't have very reliable leads outside of it. And this team is a different take on that. Dragapult plus Ho-Oh. That is fascinating. Okay. I mean, this is not bad for us, right? I just have to double check Calyrex's speed. Because if they were max speed Dragapult, do we outspeed? I don't remember its base speed off the top of my head. Wait, does it tie with Dragapult? Or is Dragapult 1 point faster? I'm double checking right now because I know Dragapult's base 142, right? Yeah. Calyrex is... It's 150. I think we have exactly enough to outspeed max speed Dragapult, right? That's my assumption here. Yeah, because I think normally... So what can I do here, then? I could just Electro Web. And, Astral Barrage. I think I'm down for that. Okay, they max. Which is okay. Substitute could have been interesting here. I don't know. I like Electro Web, Astral Barrage. I also don't really know what to expect from Dragapult. Yeah, Ho-Oh's maxing, but I don't think that's really that scary. Because I have Regigigas in the back, which can max strike it. I suppose Ho-Oh probably just Airstreams here. What does Dragapult go for? That's my question. Okay, we missed the Dragapult. That's actually kind of bad if they're Focus Sashed. So I'm not happy about that. Because we would have just gotten a free knockout there. And they are policy on the Moltres, which I can't say I'm super surprised about. I wouldn't be surprised if it were like Surf weakness policy, actually. That would make a lot of sense. Yeah, they're Focus Sash. Oh, that's such an unfortunate dodge. But that's the risk of running Electro Web. Yeah, it is Surf. So, like, I would have just gotten a free knockout turn. It's still okay, though, honestly. They're going to Airstream probably into Spectrier. Calyrex. Not Spectrier. Yeah. Honestly, that's okay. I think that's okay. Yeah, because I can just bring out Regigigas now. You can bring out Gigas. Maybe that dodge actually works in my favor. I don't know. What do they have in the back? They actually have some pretty big threats in the back, I would say. I don't know if Thunderbolt KOs the Ho-Oh here. It's close. I don't have Volt Switch, so I can't make any funky plays with the Volt Switch. Regigigas is pretty good in this endgame. Okay, honestly, here I'm thinking Thunderbolt and Max Guard. Because Dragapult's not really a threat to me right now. Yeah, okay, if we didn't miss that Electro Web, Dragapult just goes down, but I do end up activating Weakness Policy anyway, which isn't great. I don't know if T-Bolt KOs here. Max Guard might seem like slightly odd play, but I actually think it makes sense here because, like, Regigigases often don't even max in front of something like in this position. A lot of Regigigases don't even have a way to max guard, right, if you're not running Protect. And Wide Guard's like the only other move that really can turn into max guard. So, worried about Ally Switch here, but I suspect Will-O-Wisp might be more likely. Yeah. Okay, so if we just knock out Moltres here, I think we're in such a good spot, but I don't know if this KOs. Yeah, hangs on with the sliver. And they quake. Oh, that's bad. That is bad. But I do bring out Weezing now, which is good. The only problem is that I'm going to get burnt with the Regigigas, so that's why I was hoping to hit that Electro Web. I could have actually maybe just have gone for an Electro Web in that position, now that I think about it. Because then I knock out the Dragapult, so you don't threaten me with burns. So I bring out Weezing. This is still okay, it's just, I'm not really confident in winning with... Well, actually, I don't know, Weezing Gigas, even if Gigas is burnt, is not that bad here, to be honest. This is also an interesting opportunity to maybe substitute. Yeah, because Strange Steam is actually really good into my opponent's team, now that I look at it. So, like, substitute and Max Strike into Ho-Oh. I'm down for that. I guess I could have just picked up a double KO here, too, though, right? Why not just Hailstorm? Because I don't want to... Oh, no, I'm already breaking my Sash with sub. Yeah, never mind. I think Hailstorming is better. Shame we couldn't knock out that Ho-Oh, though, because I think if T-Bolt gets that KO, my opponent doesn't have much for late-game Regigigas, even if you burn me. And then it would mean Aleki survives as well, which means I can Electro Web, so, yeah. Missing Dragapult, a little bit unfortunate, but that's just how the game swings sometimes, and Electro Web's accuracy, obviously, is not, you know, the best. Okay, they Max Guard. That's fine. And Breaking Swipe. Huh, interesting. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting endgame. The problem is that I've really just not gotten much out of my Regigigas at all, right? So their Dynamax ends now. I can pick up a double KO this next turn, obviously. Presumably they Will-O-Wisp. I guess it's just Hailstorm, because Hailstorm... Oh, whoa, I don't want to do that. Yeah, I'll just Strange Steam here. I think I probably should have tried to get one KO, because, like, I didn't get enough out of my Regigigas in this game, and that was the problem. Okay, I'll just Hailstorm and Strange Steam here. The thing is, Weezing plus Regigigas is actually not bad against what my opponent has in the back. Zapdos, Rillaboom. Thundurus is scary, I suppose. Because I think what I needed to do was get us... I just didn't expect Max Guard from Ho-Oh that turn. It was a good Max Guard. What I could have done was Hailstorm into Dragapult. Yeah, they go for another Breaking Swipe. That makes sense, because you don't want to risk missing Will-O-Wisps, so might as well. So I think that's a good play on my opponent's end. Yeah, we'll get the Hailstorm off. I don't know if that chip damage is worth it in the end, because, like, maybe we take more than our opponent does. So I don't know if that's actually worth. But I definitely could have played this match a little bit better. Yeah, I figured it was Surf Dragapult, but what's my way around it? Weezing Gigas wouldn't have been very good into this lead matchup. Their Max Guard one on Ho-Oh was really good. I think I should have just taken a knockout last turn. I just wasn't expecting Max Guard from the Ho-Oh. Like, that was the main thing. The goal was to knock out Ho-Oh, leave Dragapult out on the field, leave that useless. But then now my opponent gets 2 free switch-ins. So it's looking pretty good for them, I would say. It depends on what they have in the back. But I don't have Protect on this Regigigas, which is the problem. So, question is whether or not you have stuff that actually outspeeds us. There's Zapdos. Yep. Strange Steam's actually not bad. Zapdos and Rillaboom. Okay. I don't have Protect here, but my opponent doesn't know that. My opponent does not know that. If you're my opponent, what do? Just fake out Brave Bird into Gigas? That makes the most sense. I'm going to Strange Steam here and go for an Ice Punch. Onto... I think I'd actually rather knock out Rillaboom with Regigigas if I can. So let's see if they fake out. Because I did reveal Max Guard. They're probably thinking I do have... Okay, they Protect. Should I have doubled up onto Rillaboom? Do they double Protect? Oh, they don't. Does this just one-shot? Oh, wait. We're at -2 attack. What am I saying? Oops. Yeah, they would hammer. I think that's game over then, right? Unless you don't have high horsepower. Unless you don't have high horsepower. I don't have Sludge Bomb, unfortunately. I guess I should have just gone Giga Impact there too, right? Like, we had a maybe game-winning play. Well... Leftover Zapdos? Wow, what? That I don't think I've ever seen before. How do we win? Strange Steam, Confusion, and hope you don't have high horsepower. That's basically it. I should have Giga Impacted there. Oh, I also totally forgot we were at -2 attack. Okay, they Brave Bird. That makes sense. Good Protect. Last turn. I don't know. Maybe I could have doubled up onto Rillaboom then. The miss was unfortunate, but I definitely did not play this game like super optimally, so I can't really complain. Okay, they do just go for Wood Hammer. Oh, that's enough damage to KO us after 2. Okay. It's so close, but it's not enough. I don't think Strange Stim KOs here anyway, so yeah. Giga Impact Strange Steam onto the Rillaboom was a game-winning play last turn, and I should have gone for that. I totally should have gone for that. Yeah. Because Ice Punch's damage output is kind of, yeah, bad, especially at being -2 attack, but if I can actually make the read of Zapdos protecting, knock out Rillaboom, then it's my Weezing would sub up against Zapdos in a 1v1. And I think I can survive another Brave Bird. Well, actually, probably not after you break the sub, so maybe my opponent had the game anyway. But, yeah. GG. Good game. What happened in this one? That was unfortunate. I just didn't utilize Regigigas very well. That was the problem. I played with it poorly. My opponent played with it well. Like, if I don't know if the Hoa would have fainted from Hail, but if I just Hailstorm Dragapult on that second turn of Dynamax, pick up a double knockout there, then I think Gigas just wins this game. So, yeah. I should have played more aggressively, because with Regigigas, your goal is to just pick up as many knockouts as you can in a short amount of time. I didn't really do a great job of that, but yeah. Really cool teams feature today. I mean, Ho-Oh in this one, Yveltal in the one before, and then Calyrex in the first one, so 3 different restricted Pokemon. You can see how good of a move Substitute can be with this team. Our Calyrex was pretty good. I mean, it got a lot of damage off in the early game. I shouldn't have counted on Ho-Oh fainting from that Thunderbolt, so maybe I could have modified my play there. Like, I could have gone Electro Web instead of Thunderbolting, which maybe could have been better for us. If I Electro Web, I knock out Dragapult, I bring in Regigigas for free, and then what I can do is probably switch out the... I could switch out into Weezing and then try to sweep with Regigigas. Because Regigigas was really good into that matchup. I just didn't utilize it super, super well. Good Protect there in the end. I don't know if we would have won even if I went Giga Impact and Strange Steam into the Rillaboom. Not 100% sure on that, but yeah. Either way, really fun set of games, so thank you so much as always for watching. Thank you to Ryota for the team. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Alright, peace.